They tell it's still at truck stops along old I-95. And it's whispered on the CB all along the midnight drive. And some say it's just a story. But these eyes saw it done when Jake and 10-ton Molly made their one last farewell run. Happened back in '72, as near as I recall. Watergate was in the news and Nixon about to fall. The last Apollo flight came home. The Vietnam War was lost. And the budget men set down a figure what it all had cost. They said, we've squandered megabucks, and if the truth be known, it's the cold gray morning after the greatest party ever thrown. It's time to roll back aerospace, cut down on defense spending. So the word went out. The squeeze was on. The boom years, they were ending. Now, Jake had worked at Avco since 1954. No paneled office had he there, no name upon the door. But with slide rule, square and drafting board, intuition, faith, and zeal, he could take a wild, half-baked idea, turn it into steel. But times had not been good of late. And rumors made the rounds about which contract would get cut, whose project would go down. There'd been no layoffs, at least not yet, knock on wood. But Avco's business was defense, and business wasn't good. Now, Jake left for work one morning, much like any in July. By habit, kissed someone who must have been his wife goodbye. Wheeled his Datsun out the drive, New England thruway bound, joined 90,000 other cars as up the ramp they wound. 6 lanes run to Stratford, 40 miles from here. Toll booths every 15 miles. You never make fourth gear. Construction in the left lane, a truck stalled in the right, and a Plymouth wagon on his bumper close enough to bite. Now, Jake had a CB radio back when CB first began. We had but 19 channels then, a small but close-knit clan. And I spoke with him that morning. He was eastbound, me going west. And as his troubled voice went out of range, I wished him all the best. Jake arrived at work that morning 20 minutes late. His parking spot was taken. He walked 4 blocks to the gate. He missed the coffee wagon. He dropped his donut on the floor. Then from the office, his boss says, Jake, come in and close the door. 18 years of this old drafting board. Isn't that a laugh? But they say we've lost the contract. We cut back staff. A couple of weeks severance, some vacation pay past due. I'm 56 years old now. What am I supposed to do? Get a cardboard box from shipping, pack up tools and books, wander the halls aimlessly avoiding people's looks, make the rounds of friends and colleagues, shake hands as faces blur. And for last, let's go see Molly. And what's to come of her? Poor old 10-ton Molly, what will become of her? Out the door, across the street, out to the testing shed where Molly waited silently as if asleep or dead, snapped the switch. Fluorescence bathed her in their cold blue light. Hi, girl. How you doing? Boy, you're a pretty sight. 20 tons of armor plate. A diesel heart inside. Caterpillar treads, each one 40 inches wide. Dully gleaming olive drab on flanks and turret gun. 1,600 horsepower. My God, how she could run. I was there at your conception. I was midwife to your birth. My pencil was the implement that gave you life on earth. I know your insides, inside out, each bolt and bearing cap, but they say now you're superfluous, and they'll melt you into scrap. Yeah. I'll climb inside you one last time, take the pilot's seat. Down the turret, dog the hatch, controls at hands and feet, go through the old routine once more. Hydraulic pressure, go, fuel tanks full, electrics charged. All gauges reach us so. And all of their own volition, his hands go through the routine. With no help from his brain, his eyes watch telltales turn to green, when suddenly a sound cuts through his dreaming like a knife, when with a whir from the hydraulics, the big diesel springs to life. What the hell am I doing? Jake asked no one nervously. Molly didn't answer. She just purred contentedly. And then the weight slipped from his shoulders, and out his laughter rang, said, oh well, if I'm gonna go, I'm going with a bang. He eased the lever into low, throttle up a crack. Molly hunched and started out, and Jakey settled back, and grinning like a madman now without a fear or care, they blasted through the test cell wall as if it wasn't there. Chain link fence loomed in their path, went down beneath the treads, a flashing glimpse of startled eyes and wildly turning heads out onto Main Street, Stratford. Laughing madly at the jest, turned left into the entrance ramp. New England Thruway, west. Jake cut in the supercharger and warning lights winked red. He swung into the passing lane and let her have her head. "Oh, man, I really built you well," he crooned. "You've turned out quite a lady." And the traffic scattered left and right as the tank bore down at 80. "Where's that goddamn Plymouth that tailgated me this morning? I'll ram my cannon up his ass, let that be fair warning." They came to the construction site. "Squeeze right," the road sign said. And the road sign turned to flinders as Jake forged straight ahead. Then over Molly's rattling roar, he heard the sirens wail. Connecticut State Trooper fast approaching on his tail. The cop pulled up. Jake looked across. Smiled, waved howdy-do. The trooper shrugged and fell behind. What was he to do? Jake reached to the radio, switched to the CB band. Breaker, number 9, this here's the Iron Man. I'm headed west on 95, headed straight on through. You truckers want a convoy up? I'll clear a path for you. Me and 10-ton Molly, we can clear a path for you. Now, I was in the Exxon station filling up with diesel too. I'd left the CB on, and from the cab, Jake's voice came through. I flipped a 20 to the gas jock. That could fill my tanks back then. Swung my rig onto the clover leaf and headed west again. Well, I timed it right. They overtook me a little ways. I never saw a convoy such as that in all my days. Cop cars mixed with semi-rigs of every size and rank. At the head of that parade, a goddamn freaking tank. So as Molly pulled abreast of me, I swung into her wake, and the convoy fairly shook the ground. A Richter 7 quake, sirens, air horns, treads and tires, diesel's throaty sound, juggernaut a mile a minute, New York City bound. But then Jake slowed the pace, for he could see from where he led that bane of every thruway driver. Toll booths dead ahead. He aimed for the exact change booth. Kablam! 3 lanes were gone, tossed a quarter in the rubble, gunned his motor and drove on. For 50 glorious miles went the triumphant cavalcade. Thruway to the cross Westchester traveled the parade, and then Jake took Merritt Parkway south. That road was banned to trucks, so we peeled off, and the cops all followed, and we all wished him good luck. We followed him by CB long as he remained in range, till one by one we lost his signal. Man, it seemed so strange to stand beside the interstate with 50 other drivers. Strangers till an hour ago. Now comrades and survivors. We heard it by the grapevine that they drove on till at last at Times Square and 42nd Street, they just ran out of gas. And the cops were very gentle as they led Jake off that day. And they busted up 3 wreckers getting Molly towed away. Jake stood his trial, did some time. But while he was in jail, he took computer programming courses in the mail, started writing video games, even sold a few. Have you played that one where you're at a tank and the screen shows you a view of highway, cop cars, trucks, and toll booths, and you have to get through? They play that game at truck stops along old I-95. They drop their quarters in the slot down the road they drive, and some say it's just a video game. But these eyes saw it done when Jake and 10-ton Molly made their one last farewell run. Thank you much.